We have an enormously difficult time conceptualizing the repercussions of our actions, so we resort to not doing so at all. At least not until the issues we expedite fall right back into our laps. Boomerangs sent out into the natural world of actions long forgotten. But when we consider our impacts, what do we actually find? That we are drowning in microplastics. The ocean is a large sink for microplastic. Fish and shrimp eat small pieces of this plastic that can easily be mistaken for food. Since the plastic is so small, it is easily consumed by fish and shrimp, which we then eat. Almost every fish in the grocery store contains billions of particles of plastic. These are going directly into the human body. Shellfish are also a large problem because while nesting at the bottom of the ocean, they are collecting pieces of microplastics that have settled to the sand.
Microplastics are a threat to human health because plastic contains and absorbs harmful chemicals. Chemicals like phthalates, polyvinyl chloride, and bisphenol A are used to process plastics and are harmful to human health upon consumption. These chemicals are carcinogens, endocrine disruptors, and neurotoxic. Though the human body excretes more than 90% of ingested microplastics, small enough particles may be absorbed by the body, where M cells or dendritic cells transport them as antigens to the lymphatic and circulatory systems. But because plastics do not biodegrade, they instead accumulate in the body, which can compromise immune cells or even cause necrosis. Nanoplastics are especially dangerous because due to their size, they can pass through the placenta, blood-brain barrier, which regulates the flow to the brain, and lungs, which can cause heart problems, inflammation, blocked nutrient absorption, bacterial growth in the gut, and reproduction defects. The issue of microplastics is not one that is confined to environmental spheres. It is one that transcends to impact socioeconomic standings and the vitality of communities around the world. Public disdain towards throwaway plastics and microplastics has led to plastic bans and campaigns started by groups such as Greenpeace and United Nations affiliates, working to bring environmental justice to vulnerable communities through shaming large Western corporations such as Nestle, Coca-Cola, and PepsiCo for increasing the production of so many of the single-use plastics which end up in oceans around the globe. The issue of large corporations ignoring the warnings and the dangers of microplastics is predominantly due to the economic benefit which plastic production brings. Increasingly, however, we are seeing an increased push for not only corporate transparency but legal action being taken against many corporations to bring justice to communities most affected by the issues microplastics present. Sadly, vulnerable global communities such as Indonesia, Sudan, and the Philippines are facing the brunt of the issues associated with microplastics. Jane Bremer, coordinator for the National Toxic Network, writes, "The consequences of microplastic contamination and pollution are the same all over, but are clearly worse for less developed countries, where waste systems and infrastructure are not capable of capturing plastic waste." Bacteria is found in the North Atlantic Ocean in the region called the Sargasso Sea to be breaking down plastic in the ocean. Excited by the possibilities, scientists began to look into the microorganisms. The main goal of the research was to identify and empower the enzyme created by the bacteria to be utilized in industrial applications. The enzyme facilitates plastic recycling by breaking down PET plastics into chemical intermediates that can be recovered and turned back into other plastic products. These bacteria hold the possibilities of making plastic a cyclic resource in the process in the process reduces the amount of waste being put into our natural systems. However, it is unclear how to collect all the waste produced by these organisms to fully close the recycling loop. Researchers are also unsure if the waste products by the bacteria are environmentally friendly or toxic. If the byproducts are in fact toxic, then it can be detrimental to surrounding aquatic life that is constantly ingesting the waste. In 2015, French researchers began a mission to use jellyfish to help clean up microplastics in the ocean. Several researchers had discovered that the mucus on the skin of a jellyfish could capture nanoparticles of gold in contaminated water. The effectiveness of the mucus made them think that this property could be applied to microplastics. But without standards for microplastics in wastewater, it's impossible to incentivize investment to get this project underway. Under the Clean Water Act, municipal separate storm sewer systems permits can be written to set standards to limit the amount of trash released from storm waters into rivers, oceans, and streams. But there's no way to mandate, regulate, and place blame on those releasing waste into waterways. Investors are hesitant to support these projects, as no real impact will be made when people continue to pollute and buy plastic.
Plastic is everywhere, and if we want to make change, we need to protest the futile addition of plastic in everyday goods. The chart below shows common products with unnecessary amounts of plastic. The core ball was designed to offset the amount of trace plastics entering our ecosystem. The hooks on the tool are designed to capture the microfibers that wash away when polyester and microfibers are in washing machines. We need to fix the problem on land to address the problem in our waterways because of the pollution that travels from land to sea. It is important to try and avoid the use of single-use plastic and opt for alternatives. Use a reusable water bottle and shopping bags. Think about how much plastic a product uses before purchasing and avoid small single-serving packaging. Do not fall into the mindset that if things are compostable, single-use, that the problem is solved. This only perpetuates the use of single-use products. Switchgrass, hemp, soya beans, corn, sugarcane, and other renewable sources are gaining more popularity in the scientific field, which allows for more research and funding to be designated for the new plastics, but pricing alone determines the industry's preference. As time goes on, the amount of plastic we produce increases and will not cease to stop unless everyone makes an effort. Think before you consume and be mindful of your footprint.